strategy as well. So,
Yes.
we might see some pocket picks coming in from Taipei Snipers.
So yeah, that double smite strategy is something that we've seen before. It's really interesting how they use it to control the opponent's jungle, because having the double mid laner there gives you very close and nearby access for your support. But who knows? I mean, this is a best of 5. It's interesting to watch a best of 5 because the team strategies will be evolving as the day goes on and as the games take place, because as you figure out what your opponent's going to do, you're going to try to counter them, and at the same time, they're going to try to counter your counter, and then there's countering of the counters. And it's cool because then new strategies come out. They're going to want to pull out an ace in their sleeve, and hopefully, TPS has something to answer to what the Gamma Bears have been doing, because right now, it seems like they didn't have an answer last game.
That's right. So it's going to be game number 2 right now. So Gamma Bears are going to be on the blue team. So they have decided to ban out somewhat what they banned out in the last game, having the Z and Eve being banned out. But this time around, TPS is switching up their bans quite a fair bit. Banning out that Z, it's been causing so much problems for their team. So, look at Gamma Bears right now. They're just sticking to their bans of the Z, Eve, and Lee Sin because it worked out so well for them. And right now, TPS, they banned out the Z and they banned out the Shen as well. So, they're just banning out all the heavy CC, all the high impact tankers that, Gamma Bears could possibly go for.
So last round you were talking about how the jungler being shut down, Oriel being shut down by taking away his Evelynn and Lee Sin paid off. I think they're going to do exactly that again. They're going to pick up the Elise for themselves, which I think they're most likely going to be using the jungler in the jungle. Oriel this time locking in the Jarvan for himself really quickly.
Right, so it's interesting that they banned out the Zyra as well, usually teams don't ban out Zyra, but it's kind of like a purple team strategy, exclusive to the purple team. You ban out somewhat like a useless champ, or like you don't really expect the opponent team to really just pick it up right off the bat, and then you bait out some of the big picks. So like for what they did is they knew that Gamma Bear could possibly go for a pick like Elise, so they went in and secured Thresh and Jarvan for themselves. And we know for a fact that Oriel and just Taiwanese junglers in particular, they are really, really strong on the Jarvan pick. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that Oriel will be able to make some bigger impact using that Jarvan pick as opposed to that Rebels pick in the game number 1.
Wow, this is really interesting if they really go and decide for a Varus Ashe pickup. Wow. Then that would be a double carry. I think they're going to go for the Sona instead. And this is another lane that's pretty standard. They're going to just reveal their AD carry lineup once again. It's always usually the AD carry and the support role that gets revealed early on. Mainly because it's not a very risky position to show off. You don't normally get countered very hard, especially a lane like Varus Sona. There's not really any champions that can defeat them very easily. So why not just show your hand on that? I think that's fine. The Azubu Taipei Snipers look like they want to go for that Orianna again. This time around, they've got a pretty strong delivery method. They've got the Jarvan, and I think that is going to be a big difference.
Right, they are just going for somewhat a strategy that they are really comfortable with, which is they like to find skirmishes. That's the thing about both franchise, Taipei Snipers and Taipei Assassins. They like to go for skirmishes, they like to go for team fights, not so much on picking off, but more of, just going in, finding, finding the right team fights. And then
it's more of the 5v5 then, rather than the small fights. Because it looks like Gamma Bears is more of the skirmish guys. They want to go for like 2v2s, 3v2s, those fights where they try to outnumber the opponent especially. I think that's where they kind of shine. But yeah, the Azubu Taipei Snipers, like you said, are the more of like team fight guys. And that's where they shine. The problem is, Gamma Bears is denying them that. They're not letting them get to that stage. Because you can't have team fights before the 15-minute mark. It just doesn't happen. There's no opportunity to do it. And then beyond that, Gamma Bears stops them from getting to that point by getting an advantage and making it so that they've got more items and TPS doesn't want to fight with them.
That's right. It's somewhat something that we saw in the previous game. And, speaking about the previous game, we are looking at Gamma Bears right now. They are going for somewhat a similar strategy. They have the Elise pick, the Ahri pick, the Varus pick. So all these champions are great at, punishing people when they are out of position. But, the only difference this time around is that Taipei Snipers secured that Thresh pick. Having that Thresh pick is really, really important because, you know, with that death sentence, it's kind of like the starting signal for your team to just go right in. And I would say this time around they have more utility based and they have more zone control just because you have the box, you have the cataclysm, you have the command shockwave. So you have more capabilities to try to zone out the opponent.
Ooh, Riven gets picked up there. Very, very interesting pick as they're gonna send Riven up against Renekton. So how Renekton works is that he's just like this basically super tanky dude that gets in your face. He doesn't really shut down AD carries. He can deal some burst damage, but he doesn't really stick to people that easily. He's more of a tank compared to other bruisers. He's not so much focused on damage, but more on tanking.
Okay, so it looks like we might have some server issues or some disconnection issues. Like,
Right, that's fine. We'll just get the game
so
started
I
up
thought
again.
the Riven pick was rather weird. So
Yeah, the Riven pickup.
well, might have because of the, you know, the disconnection and, you know, the system just locked the Riven in for them. So that might not be their pick, you know, but we'll just see and find out later. But, you know, let's talk a little bit more about these two teams, you know. For those viewers who are not too sure of these two teams right now, Gamma Bears and TPS, they are somewhat really famous in Taiwan scene, I would say.
Right.
They have been competing with each other in leagues like TESL, the Taiwan Esports League. Gamma Bears not doing so well. In the previous TESL, they went 12-13, so it's quite even on wins and loss. But Taipei Snipers definitely had the bigger hand. They went 20-5, 20 wins, 5 losses. So they are somewhat the favorites when it comes to this world qualifiers in Taiwan. And they also, you know, they just dominated the upper brackets during the qualifying stages. So they are considered the hot favorites. But, you know, we've seen in game number 1, Gamma Bears looking all so strong, you know, just making all the plays happen and making their pick comms to the fullest potential. I think it's also mainly because that I think a couple of months ago they went for this tournament called World Game Master Tournament. They went up to face off against some of the big teams like Xanax Storm and World Elite, and after that they just picked up momentum straight after.
Right. So I think we've got everyone back here into the game. Gamma Bears. But one thing that I want to point out is that being in that top spot, it can be quite a pressure, really, because the Taipei Assassins used to be in the top spot back in Season 2, and now the Taipei Snipers, really, they have a lot of hope riding on them because they are the only fragment of that ex-world champion team that still has a chance to go, you know, and represent Taiwan. The amount of pressure that they must be facing right now is immense. I can just imagine how they feel about, you know, this being the final chance for them to actually represent Taiwan.
Right, but I think it's one of the, I would say, challenges that any team has to face before going to the World Finals, which is to stand in front of a regional stage and, you know, play in front of a massive amount of people and then, you know, performing up to standard before you go to Worlds, because it's not going to get any better when you go to the Staples Stadium. It's going to be much bigger, with a much bigger crowd and a much bigger viewership rate when it comes to having that World Championship stream as well.
Let's see if they lock in the Riven again. I really wonder whether that Riven was picked on purpose.
No, it is not going to be Riven.
Okay, Kennen makes a bit more sense because, you know, Renekton is quite the beast in the early game, and he would probably have ripped Riven to shreds.
Having that alligator just bite off any chunks of Riven once they meet up with each other. So yeah.
Same thing again. They've gone for Kennen to counter somebody who's weak against a ranged bruiser, or rather a ranged champion. But are we going to see the lane swap happen and history repeat itself? It seems like both teams are content to stick to their strategy. I was just talking about how the teams would vary their strategy between the games just because, you know, they're learning about each other. And for a minute, I would have thought, okay, for the Gamma Bears, they can stick to their strategy. It worked. It paid off. You know, there's no need to change the strategy that works. If the wheel works, don't change it. But the Taipei Snipers, they got wrecked.
Yeah, they got destroyed in game number 1. Let's face it, they got destroyed.
Yes. And they haven't changed the strategy. So that means, you know, I mean, they got a new pick. They've got Jarvan this time. And I think that makes a world of a difference.
Right.
Because Jarvan as a ball delivery system as compared to Oriel, Rammus is going to be day and night. I mean, Jarvan is going to be a lot more reliable. Just Flag Spear is much faster than rolling in there.
Rolling in the deep.
He was not rolling anywhere that was particularly useful in that match.
Right, and there's a fresh pick as well, you know. So we might see Taipei Snipers try to give the Gamma Bears a taste of their own medicine because Sword Art in the previous game made so much impactful plays on that Thresh, and not too sure if Mistake would be able to, you know, replicate those kind of results, but Mistake is definitely one of the most recognized supports over at Taiwan, not only for the fact that he was in the lineup in the TPA roster when they won Season 2 championships. But it's also for the fact that he has some really amazing calls. They even gave him the title, you know, the best strategist in Taiwan, just because of some of the plays that he developed for Taipei Snipers to win some of their crucial games coming into this qualifiers.
Right, I've never seen Mistake's strength in his mechanics, to be honest. It's always been his role as a call maker for the team that I feel has been unsurpassed. I think that he's the reason why the Taipei Snipers have been so successful thus far. And I think that, you know, this round as Thresh, hopefully he'll be able to make a little bit bigger plays and more of an impact, because in that last game he was actually getting fed on quite a number of times.
Right, so level 1, it looks like Taipei Snipers are trying to go for a really aggressive play over here. They're just walking into the Gamma Bears jungle and, you know, placing some deep wards in, but because of that, NL was able to spot them out. And look at that ward right there. It's really deep in, just investing so much wards in this level 1 gameplay. You know, they just have 5 wards on the map. That goes to show how much vision control they need to try to take over Gamma Bears right here.
It's crazy. Just I think it's insane the number of wards they have around this red area. Is absolutely nonsensical. How are they going to take advantage of this? Because spamming so many wards there is expensive. It's got to have some payoff. If you're going to spend so much gold and invest it all in just warding up this jungle area, you better reap some benefits from it.
Right, so it looks like they are going for a parallel jungle, I would say. So they will be picking up each other's red buff and then subsequently go for their own blue buff. So I suppose that's going to be the strategy that they want to go for, but, you know, we'll see how this works. And once again, we see Gamma Bears go for this lane swap.
Yeah, I mean, if the wheel works, why change it, you know? There's no need to reinvent the wheel, and this worked for them last game. They're going to do it once more.
Right, but I think the man to focus on right now is going to be Oriel.
The difference is the junglers, though. That's the main difference, I feel, coming into this match. I think Jarvan's going to be a lot more reliable on the counter ganks and the ganks as compared to Rammus.
That's right, and another player to look out for would be next ABC, because, well, Oriana, you don't lane so well against an Ahri per se, because Ahri could just go 100 to 0 on you just with that couple of burst damage, but he has to really control his lane and, you know, not give any opportunities for Maple to roam and make impact, because if he manages to do so, then it's going to snowball out of control for Gamma Bears, and it's going to be quite hard for Snipers to deal with.
Right, so they're both teams here, they're going for that proxy farm. Maple forced the flash as Oriel came in for that gank.
Right, this is the kind of pressure that Oriel needs to put out. So burning a flash on the side of Maple, that's going to be quite some good plays coming in.
This is scary for both Snake as well as God JJ and Mistake. They're both pulling off some
look out,
risky maneuvers.
Just around the area. He's going to go for a gang right there, but he's just going to back off.
Both teams just mirroring each other right now. Oh, it looks like Gamania is going to be a little bit more successful here, though. They've actually managed to push out Zonda at the top.
Look at how calm and composed Mistake is, even though he's in a 3v1 situation, but, you know, he's just walking around them, just using his slides to, you know, get some more CS. And you compare that to Zonda, he's not able to, you know, just go out and farm at all. And because of that, there's this discrepancy, this 14 CS discrepancy, and, you know, Sting is going to be quite happy with that.
Right, Zonda's just gonna wait there and actually do absolutely nothing.
He can't do anything as well. He doesn't have the escape mechanism that a Renekton has, which is the slice and dice, and having that stun as well. So it's gonna be.
This is terrible, in fact, because Steak has got 15 minion score, Zonda has got 0.
That is just terrible. And
what is going on through the team's mind right now?
Right, you look at Gamania, they're just abusing this fact that Zonda is not going to be able to do anything about it. And instead of taking down the turret really, really quickly, just went for this proxy farming to deny Zonda of even more experience and to ramp up NL even quicker than it is.
Right, so now once again, Zonda playing Kennen, who's supposed to have an advantage against Renekton early on, is not going to have that advantage. And he's going to get bullied again, I feel. This is going to be a repeat of what happened in that last match with Zac just bullying Zonda.
Right, so like we have been talking all game long, the big difference is that now they do have that Jarvan and that Thresh pick, so a lot more lockdown is going to come down for them. So they do have to start thinking about how they want to, patch up this wound to, decrease the amount of damage done.
Well, Zonda's, first of all, just going to hold the lane, try his best to just farm out. I think the Azul Taipei snipers can afford to wait for the late game. They do have that 5v5 ability. So if they don't bleed out too much here in this early to mid game, they should be able to recover later on.
Right, but they do have some, good map control because, actually, the turrets went down evenly. But, I would say I'll give some credit over to Gamania because they do have that RF pick. So if Maple starts roaming around, and make his impact post 10 minutes, then it's going to be quite a hand to deal with for Taipei snipers.
Meanwhile, here at the bottom lane, Gamabez pushing up against Mistake and got JJ. They've got Winds coming down to help them out. He's going to back off though. Not enough vision and no pink wards, so they can't get rid of the wards that the Taipei snipers have put down.
Right, so looking at Winds now, he's not doing as much, making as much impact than he is on the previous game when he was playing Nocturne. He was just diving all in with the paranoia, but this time around, it's not available for him. He could go in with the rappel and go in with the initiation, but so far we haven't been seeing that. So that's something that I would say Taipei snipers would be quite happy for, because they don't face the trouble of the paranoia. So it's going to be up to Winds to try to go in more aggressively, because Oriel hasn't really been making that impact that he's so famous to make for, which is all those hyper aggression that he usually goes with.
Right, so now this is the problem that you have when you hold the lane like what Zonda is doing and he just doesn't really push it out. It affords Stake the opportunity to start going into the opposing jungle and taking away some of the Taipei snipers' farm and monsters. Over here, Stake getting a bit aggressive onto Zonda, decides to back off. Taipei snipers taking advantage of the absence of the Gamabez to try to steal this dragon.
Right, so if they take out this dragon, that's going to be quite good for them to secure a foothold for themselves, because that's what they really, really need right now. So because of that, they do have this...
Oh, Stake goes in hard here. He wants to get some damage onto Zonda. He's got some help from Winds. Zonda is in trouble, gets away from the cocoon, but it's not going to be enough. They still pick up that kill.
Right, so Stake is going to make something happen with the first blood right now. So the top tower is, the top inner turret is going to be freed up right now. So I suppose Winds and Stake would want to be putting as much pressure as they can.
And I feel terrible for Zonda because in both these games, he's been shut down pretty hard. Oriel here coming in. Could he be the potential initiator? Nick's ABC already level 8. Has that shockwave combo at his disposal, but he's not going to use it just yet.
Right. I think it's also a matter of fact that Gamania, they've been playing so well. In the same situation when Stake and Zonda were placed in that 3v1, Stake was more composed. He knew the limits that he could push Renekton to, whereas Zonda, he couldn't do anything at all. He was just standing at the inner turret and not able to do anything, not able to absorb any experience, not able to get any goal as well. So I think that's the difference when it comes to these two players. I know for a fact that Zonda is quite good on this 1v1 situation. He is definitely on a good level comparable to Stanley in the past, but you know, he's not so good when it comes to fighting multiple opponents at one time.
Right. It just seemed like, I guess, the tankiness of Renekton allowed him to stay under turret a little bit longer as well. So perhaps the champion choice factors into that as well.
That's right. So it looks like Gamma Bears are just gonna be continuing, you know, trying to find the picks and, you know, going all in from there. But right now they're just farming and not going for anything too crazy right now, just maintaining their early game goal lead.
Well, Zonda has finally managed to catch up a little bit here in terms of minion score. He's just a couple behind. Stake, his level as well is about on par. Stake here getting very aggressive once again. He really wants to just go in on Zonda. This is exactly what he did when he was playing that Zac pickup earlier on. Once again, he goes in there. If he gets that stun off, he's got some help though, Zonda. O'Real comes in, and he's going to just use that slicing maelstrom to stun Stake. Stake does his best to flash and get away, but the Cataclysm just dunks the alligator.
Right. Stake just go slam dunk right there, and that's the...
Oh, in comes the... Oh boy, nice cleanse that gets away. Got JJ making the plays.
Having some beautiful disengages right there, I would say. Just using the cleanse and, you know, dodging out the crescendo in its full length, and then, you know, just dodging out.
Oh, mistake goes in. He's going to try to go for the shockwave combo, no doubt. Wins here in big trouble. He gets exhausted and picked up.
Right, so this is the difference that we're talking about. And Maple actually picking up a solo kill onto O'Real in the mid lane. So it looks like Maple is going to be one scary fox once again. But, you know, this is the kind of skirmishes that Taipei snipers need to look for. You know, just going in, using their chain crowd control abilities to pick up someone right off the bat, and then after that just going all in.
Oh, nice damage onto Nick's ABC. He walked right into that charm. Blue buff on Maple is going to allow him to just keep on staying in lane. And that passive as well works really nice.
Right. So I would say it's not too bad for this opening for snipers as compared to the last game.
Right, they managed to maintain their lead. It's not much of a lead, but at least they're not falling behind.
That's right. So, and this is what they really, really need to secure for themselves as a team, wombo combo team composition. They need to be ahead of their opponents, or at least on par with them in terms of items to make all these combinations work.
Right. I think ultimately what they need to do is to be able to control the pace of the game. They cannot let the Gamma Bears determine how it's going to be played and, you know, where the engages are taking place. You know, the Azubu Taipei snipers need to also make sure that they're fighting on their own terms and when they want to, rather than whenever the Gamma Bears feel like it.
That's right. You know, surprisingly, Maple hasn't been roaming all that much as compared to the last game. You know, there was this point of time in game number 1 where he just made so much additional pressure from his roaming that it was too hard for the snipers to regroup. So this game he's not doing too much, but not too bad for himself. He picked up a solo kill onto O'Real earlier. And Sting is going on to Zonda right here, just sticking on to him, but he himself has taken some good amount of damage. That's the back off right there.
He's really aggressive on that Renekton pick. Meanwhile, at that bottom lane, you can see Gamma Bears here running into a bit of trouble. O'Real could come in for the gang. He pops the pink ward, gets rid of that Tri-Brush ward, and forces the Gamma Bears back. Meanwhile, Zonda here pops the Slicing Maelstrom. Stake wants some of that little Yordle. He's going to try to nom him.
He wants to make a steak, a cannon steak.
Right.
Right, but you know, there's this thing about Renekton and cannon. It's quite hard for a Renekton to stick onto a cannon right here, because you know he can disengage with the Slicing Maelstrom, he can run away with the Lightning Rush as well. So it's quite hard for him to pick up a kill 1 against 1, but...
Oh, wins here, gets caught out. Next ABC flashes over to try to finish him off. Nice dodge there on the charm, and now it's Maple gets caught out, forced to use that Spirit Rush to get away. And it's going to be a good pickup there for the Taipei snipers. They're doing a lot better this round. The Gamma Bears don't have the huge advantage that they did in the previous round. And I think Maple's not been able to roam as much as he would like.
Right, that's right. But he did have that finish codex being completed already, so definitely going to go for the early DFG. Similar to what happened the last game, and good decision coming in from Gamma Bears as well. They knew that they couldn't really contest for the Dragon, so because of that they decided to go for that all-important first tier mid turret, which is going to be good for them because it's going to give them some additional vision control.
Right, and it also helps free up the zone for Maple to start moving around. I mean, we're just talking about how Maple hasn't really been able to roam. Getting rid of that mid turret is going to afford him a little bit more flexibility in terms of moving around the map.
Right, but the sniper kill.
Oh, in comes the Chains of Corruption. Mistake gets caught out. The Shockwave comes in to combo that out. Mistake will get picked up, but Snake is also in a bit of trouble. Oriel comes in to finish him off, but it is going to be Nyx ABC that picks up that kill.
Right,
So they traded a top lane for a support.
Right, so it's not too bad for the snipers as well, you know. There was a beautiful Chains of Corruption coming in from NL though, but Mistake was also quick to react. You know, they knew that they wanted to dive him, so they just used the box to catch everyone back into place, and then the entire squad of Type A snipers was able to capitalize on the rest of that.
NL has been playing that Varus pick very, very well. I mean, last game he scored a number of clutch Chains of Corruption, and this time around he's doing it again. Right. Normally we see the Chains of Corruption used after somebody else has initiated, but he's been really just getting in there, flashing in for the Chains of Corruption, initiate, and he hasn't really missed any, so that's been great for the team.
Right, it suits the team's play style really, really well because the Gamma Bears, they are really famous for just punishing people who are out of position, and one of the big factors is actually NL on their Varus pick. So having that Chains of Corruption, he's so proficient in landing those.
Steak and Zonda, the eternal battle. Zonda forced to back off.
Right, the eternal battle between the Yordle and the Alligator.
Right, and that Tiamat pickup on Steak is really helping him out in terms of helping him sustain there. He's just able to keep going back to the lane, getting those heals up. His minion score is still above Zonda's.
Right, but it's quite surprising that he didn't go for any tanky items like some Fire Cape or Spirit Research and anything like that. So he's going for flat damage and actually puts a good amount of damage onto Zonda right there. Right, my only concern is that going for all these damage items might be good for you in terms of trading, but is that going to give you enough in the team fights?
Right, Shockwave now up for Nyx ABC. They might be able to force this fight. NL is over at the bottom lane. Dragon will not be up until about 3 minutes from now.
Right, so both teams just playing really, really conservative. I think it's also for a matter of fact that the snipers, they want to stop the bleeding that was caused in the early 10 minutes. But also because that, this is also important game for them. If they drop this game, then it's going to be 2 games up for the Gamma Bears.
At this point, they do have that late game advantage though because of the way that their 5v5 works out. And late in the game, 5v5s do tend to occur more often than early to mid. I think the Type A snipers are just going to wait it out until that phase of the game begins. And at this point, they haven't really been falling behind, so they're happy to do that.
Right, so it's just like you mentioned, they are just stalling out, just waiting for the right moment to go in. They're just trying to ramp up as much as they can and then go in with them post 20-minute team fights and then securing advantages from there. But right now, I think they're trying to counter push onto this mid lane because it stands quite healthy. The turret is still quite healthy. They want to just put some damage onto it and create some pressure on it.
Well, they're really not doing very much damage to it. They've been chipping away at it for the longest time, and this turret has only taken a couple of 100 points of damage.
Right. I think it's coming close to a point where they want to make something happen because it has been quite stagnant for a while, even though it's an 800 goal lead for them, but they're just trying to make their team composition improve.
Oh, in comes the engage. They don't get off the shockwave, and Oriel gets pulled back into the fight. Spirit Rush that gets popped by Maple. He's trying to look for those kills, but Oriel gets out of there in time.
Right, meanwhile, at the same time, Stick is just solo pushing up in the top lane. It's going to be quite dangerous for the snipers right here. They do have to do something about this. If not, this inner turret on the top lane is going to be gone. But Stick decides to play it safe, just going to go back from there. Sort out that Maple as well, but Sort out is going to be spotted by that one.
Oh,
that sentence just barely whipping past the face of Sword Out right
but
there.
That wouldn't have done much because there was nobody to follow up on that.
Right. Well, you just scare Sword Art, it's like, I could just death sentence you anytime. Give you the death sentence anytime.
Right.
Strike some fear into his heart.
I'm sure that at that point, Sword Art was quivering in his pants.
Oh my gosh. So right now, they're just going back into the lanes, not doing too much of a flashy play. TPS still looking for the groove to go in. They tried to make something happen with Oriel, but unfortunately that didn't work out all too well. I think they're just probably waiting for the respawn for the Dragon as well.
Yeah, they haven't really been able to pull off this Shockwave combo with the Flagon Spirit. I mean, the Jarvan Dunk is what they're really relying on here, but just can't seem to time it properly. I think the ABC has to watch out. It's a very, very dangerous place for him to be in.
Oh wow, double pink wards.
Oh.
Double pink wards, double success.
Three pink wards down there. Dragon here getting picked up by the Azuki Type A snipers. Meanwhile, at the top, Steak and Zonda, the eternal foes, the Crocodile and the Hamster. Well-known enemies since time immemorial.
Right. I think what the Gamma Bears are doing, they are having the same team composition, but they are playing it rather differently this time around. They're going for split push strategy. We see Steak being alone most of the time, just pushing on his own. And it's also one of the other strategies that the Gamma Bears are really famous for back in the TSL.
Oh man, Real gets caught here, but Steak is at half health, so I don't think he's gonna try to engage like that. Mid turret here in a bit of trouble for the Gamma Bears. Oh, Maple gets caught, flashes away. And they managed to catch Steak. Where is that? They use the Shockwave, pulls in 4 members of the Gamma Bears. Mistake now in a bit of trouble. He's going to get jumped on by Wind, but in comes Zonda. He's going to get the Slicing Maelstrom. The Cataclysm does keep him out of it though. He's not able to land that Slicing Maelstrom on all the enemy champions. Oh, nice flash there from God JJ. Gets away from the charm, but the Gamma Bears still come out ahead. 4-1.
Right, I think it's a matter of fact is that Zonda popped his Slicing Maelstrom really, really late, and he was unable to keep everyone locked down. And because of that, another beautiful chains of corruption coming in from NL was able to lock everyone else from the snipers in place for Sword Art to go in with the crescendo. And because of that, they were locked down for such a long period of time. Maple and Steak was able to go in, just do the constant DPS, and because of that, they came up on top of that one. And for that, they pick up another turret for themselves, so 3-1 in terms of turrets. But surprisingly, the goal lead is not really, really far apart for them. It's just 1.5k apart. It's mainly due to the Dragon that the Sniper has picked up earlier.
Right, the Cataclysm there was actually in favor of Gamma Bears because it prevented the Slicing Maelstrom coming in. Gamma Bears right now.
They're having some inner conference right now.
Yeah, I think that everybody's probably like, damn you, Oriel. And Oriole's probably like, I'm Jarvan, I'm helping. He gets caught out though. Mistake in big trouble. Once again, Mistake has been getting caught in the majority of these fights. If you think about it, in the last match and this one, he's been the one who's been getting caught out the most.
I think he's just making a mistake right there.
Living up to his name, really.
Right.
At the top, Steak continues that pressure. He's going to be able to get rid of that turret in due time. Meanwhile, oh my, what on earth, Zonda, are you doing? Oh no, Zonda just backing off there. Must have been a misclick. Don't see any reason for him to have used his Zonias at that point in time.
Well, it could have been a Zonia bait.
Could have been a bait, yeah.
Yeah,
but he didn't use his Slicing Maelstrom or any other spell.
Right. So, and Steak was able to just slice and dice out of the way, so not too much of a problem for him. Piercing arrow coming in, it takes a good amount of damage off on the Zonda right there. So it just goes to show how much he has ramped up already, having that Bloodthirsters and that Last Whisper as well. So even having that Zonias is not going to negate that much damage coming in from NL right there.
Gamma Bears clearing up some of that vision around Baron. That could potentially be the next big objective that both teams are going to go for.
Right, but I would say currently it's not too big of a difference. This goal difference coming in for Gamma Bear and the Type A snipers is just purely on this 2-turret advantage and on the Dragons right here. If the snipers can find that one good team fight, they could still turn things around for themselves. But right now, it just looks like the Gamma Bears are just playing the strategy, you know, tuning up the strategy once again, going for that split push. Stick has been performing really, really well.
Upstate going right in on Zonda. It's going to be a fight. And Zonda just gets out of there. Doesn't want any part of that.
Right, but he has that Spirit Visage already, so it's going to be quite hard to put some heavy damage onto Stick right there. He is going to be able to just heal himself back up and continue with that split push.
Oh, this battle is so close. Neither team really wants to engage upon the other just yet.
Right, and all this split pushing coming in from Stick is going to free up some space for the entire of the rest of his team as well, you know, because you have Zonda missing from the equation of this wombo combo that the sniper wants to put out. But you know, you don't have Zonda around, you are lacking in that stun, lacking in all that AoE damage, so they can't pull off their wombo combo potential at all.
Right, and he's a very, very key part of that. You don't want to not have your slicing meals from there. It's an AoE stun, and it does a decent amount of damage as well.
That's right, so Gamma Bears really using all these resources to good use right here. And Maple, you know, right here, putting on additional pressure, just keeping the top lane shoved out and making sure that they could extend their ward line, making sure they do have all this vision control for themselves.
Gamma Bears and Azubu Taipei Snipers here just content with farming. Looks like neither of them really have any urgency in finishing this game here. Gamma Bears slightly in the lead now, 4,000 gold ahead. That lead has kind of bounced between the two teams. Initially we had Gamma Bears in the lead, then it kind of went to the Taipei Snipers, and now it is back again on the Gamma Bears.
Right, Dragon just came back up, so I think Gamma Bears would want to go for that big objective, but they do have to be careful right now because it's at a stage where if they get caught off position, then it's going to spell doom for them. Because some of the members actually completed some major ticket items on the side of Taipei Snipers. Oh, but it looks like there's no response at all, man.
No, they're not going to stop that. Dragon goes to the Gamma Bears. I think for 1,000 gold, the Azubu Taipei Snipers would rather just play it safe and not risk having their champions die. They would rather just say goodbye to that 1,000 gold.
Right. And look at the movement of the Gamma Bears right now. They're just grouping up onto this red side jungle. I think they want to make something happen, trying to find someone out of position and then punish him for it.
Old Rio could be the one to do that. Instead, he's just going to back away, get away from that charm. Very, very powerful skill.
Right, not too sure what the Gamma Bears want to achieve right here, but they do have Stake still consistently pushing up this bottom lane in the turret. So they could just, you know, because I think they want to bait out the fact that they are doing Baron, but actually they're not. And
Perhaps. They've got Maple over at that bottom lane. Maple could go for the gang onto Nyx ABC.
Right, and it's going to be quite hard for ABC to actually escape that.
He's going to play it safe. He backs up from that turret straight away. He clears out that wave, walking all the way back to the base. Not sure if that's going to be as fast as recalling.
Right, it's a really weird strategy coming in from Gamma Bears now. They do have that. They do still have all that advantage though, so you just need to press on all these advantages right now.
Zonda getting bullied a little bit here by Stake.
Right, so Stick is, you know, Stick has been so consistently putting out all this split lane pressure coming in, and Snipers hasn't found the response to that. You know, they cannot dedicate more than one member to try to stop that, and because of that, Stick has been having all this free reign by himself. He's up 70 CS against his lane opponent Zonda, and that's gonna be quite a big handful to deal with.
Right now, the towers are heavily in advantage of Gamma Bears. They're at 5 turrets to 2. And they're going to go for the Baron. Are they baiting this out here? They know that Zonda is over at the bottom lane. This is such a dangerous position, though. Oh, Mistake gets caught out once again. In comes the ball. The Chains of Corruption barely missed. NL doesn't get the hit there. In goes Stake. Gets behind the lines on O'Real. He's switching targets here. Gets caught on the Yordle Snap Trap. The second Yordle Snap Trap gets a hold of him. And it's going to be God JJ there stopping the Alligator in his tracks.
Right, Mistake got melted there also quickly, but I would say there was some good plays coming in from TPS. Next, ABC just used the command distance to slow down the entire squad of Gamania Best right there to try to stop that rampage. You know, Stake was going all in already, but because of that slow coming in from
they go for the engage, and L flashes away instantly. Cataclysm doesn't want any of that.
That's right. Nice flash though, you know, it's like instantaneous kind of a flash. And Stake still putting on all this side lane pressure. I think it's not going to last for too long right now. And Gamma Bears really just playing the strategies, playing the cards right as well. They are up about 5k, coming to 6k right now. You know, they just need to find... I think they're just waiting to catch someone out of position and then just steamroll off of there, like what happened to Mistake earlier.
Right, the Taipei Snipers are facing the same problem that this exact same team composition did in the last 3 games. They can't initiate. They've got the composition that would give them the advantage in a 5 versus 5, but they can't engage.
Right, and I think it's also for a fact it's slightly different right now for Gamma Bears because in the first game, it was more of them punishing people, picking people right off the bat, having all that single target meltdown, and then going for objectives after that. But this time around, they don't have all that firepower in terms of single target damage, so they're going for this split push strategy, sending Stake to just, you know, apply side lane pressure all the time. But I would say at this point of time, even though they are having the lead, they are not applying pressure fast enough. And if it goes even longer than this, and TPS finds a way to ramp themselves back up, then it's going to be a really tough fight for them.
Right, they just cannot afford to drag on forever. Gamma Bears need to make something happen, but what is it that they plan to do?
And I think it's also for TPS to, you know, try to ramp themselves up really, really quickly. They could just stay in the base, but what help is it going to do for them?
Well, I guess they just want to keep farming up. Their AD carry is a little bit behind.
Right, true.
But their mid laner, Nyx ABC, is looking to be pretty healthy. Bottom turret, though, will go down as Stake finishes it off.
Right, so that's going to be the final inner turret going to be finished off on the side of Gamma Bears. You see Stake actually jumping onto Zonda right here, putting a good amount of damage, but it's not going to be able to finish him off.
No, not at all. And
Zonda
just heals it up.
Yeah, right.
So quickly. He's got Ravenous Hydra that provides you with AoE lifesteal. And on your auto attack, it's actually quite a lot.
Oh, Mistake trying to go for a sneaky play right there, but
they managed to catch Mistake once again. Mistake gets caught. The crescendo comes in. The shockwave hits absolutely nothing. In goes Stake. He's gonna pop the Dominus. Tries to pick up Zonda. He's gonna get burst down pretty low though, and he just barely survived. No, he's gonna go down. Zonda picks up that kill. Wow.
Right. This is the kind of fight that the Gamma Band wants to go for. And now just catching Mistake once again out of position, you know, having that Chains of Corruption and then just collapsing onto the entire squad.
Oh, they're gonna wait for God JJ here. God JJ gets caught out. He pops the cleanse, but they're still able to get in there. The repel gets used. Where's that venomous bite? He's gonna get picked up by the neurotoxin.
That's right, but there was some heavy damage coming in from Next ABC right there, having that ball controlling. He almost brought Sword Art down, but at this point of time, not too much being done yet. Just quite a feeling right there.
Oh, in come the wards from Zonda. Just wants to make sure that they're not taking the Baron. Baron there, a bit of a risky proposition with Sword Art, kind of low on health. I really wonder whether Mistake here is putting himself in these bad positions to try to look for the initiation, and whether he should instead just try not to get caught in any more of these fights, because they're using him as this sort of trampoline to get into the fight.
Right, and You know, he tried to make something happen. He was in this sneaky corner trying to catch someone out with the death sentence, but instead, Anna was too fast to read into that, and he was able to land that beautiful cheese of corruptions once again and just keep everyone in place. You know, it's always strange to see Barros being the one initiating, but I think NL has been doing a impressive and, you know, just a really good job so far. He's one of the most aggressive Varus that I've seen.
Right, because normally Varus would want to save his flash to get away. Varus gets very easily locked down because he doesn't really have any mobility skills. But in these cases, you know, he's been flashing in aggressively, and he doesn't really have to use his flash defensively. Stink here, they're allowing him to get some free hits on the turret. And, you know, that may be just because they want to contest the Baron.
Right, but they don't, at this point of time, they don't really need the Baron buff for themselves. They could just, you know, wait it out, try to bait it out and go collapse onto TPS right there.
Right, they're just baiting, you can tell. And even the Type A snipers are aware of the fact that the Gamma Bears are not actually going to take the Baron. There's just not enough help on them.
Right, they might just, you know, buy time for Stick to push up onto this bottom lane. Because practically there's no one that can go head-on against Stick right here. He might not be able to take anyone off right off the bat, but he would definitely just buy time and just create all this.
Oh, Maple gonna go for the catch, but there's that ward there. And is it me or is that ward actually
It's just slightly out of vision.
Yeah, it's hidden. Oh my goodness, that pink ward doesn't spot it. Maple must be scratching his head going like, where is that ward? What actually spotted me out there?
Right, so it's come to a point again when I think TPS is just really, they are so desperate for gold right now.
This is a game of endurance, really.
Right, game of endurance, good point.
It's the game of endurance with the Gamma Bears, I feel, slightly at a disadvantage when the really late game pops around.
Right.
But it's going to be a close fight nonetheless. You know, they don't have a definitively stronger late game. Mistake almost getting caught out again. That would cost his team a lot if he gets caught out once more. Gonna get tagged there by the arrow.
I would still think that if they are able to pull off one good team fight, Happy Snipers might have a chance to come back into this. Even though they are about 9k down in terms of gold right now. It's like Gamma Bears are going to switch up their strategies. They are sending Stick together to take down this Baron, but I'm not too sure what's going to happen. Mistake actually getting caught out right there.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, he just went from 100 to 0 in.
And they're going to go in here. The shockwave is going to come in. Zonda flashes in. He's going to
get
just pop
the
his
Baron
Zonya. And the Baron has been stolen. Maple here is in a bit of trouble. He's really low on health. But NL is still keeping up that really solid pace of firepower in the back lines. Gets tagged there by God JJ, but he's still alive. Now he's going to try to fight them here, but he's going to back off eventually.
Right, that was a 3-for-3 exchange and a brilliant steal coming in from Oryu right there. That's something that they desperately need. Even though that didn't manage to give them the big comeback that they needed, but it was a 3-for-3 exchange nonetheless. And for a team that has been so behind on gold, so starved on income, that's definitely the best exchange that they could possibly imagine.
Right, and I felt like if Mistake were alive there, his team might have been able to actually win that fight a little bit more easily, because they did have the exhaust and his box still on him. That would have been a big influencer in the fight. You know, not having those two abilities hurt them a lot.
Right, nevertheless, Type A Snipers did get the steal and wiping that objective off the map for Gamma Bears right there. So they, right now it's about a 6k gold difference, but there is that Baron buff on two of the members of the Snipers, which is on Next ABC and God JJ, and I'm not too sure if they will be able to make something happen of that, but this will definitely slow down the Gamma Bears process.
Right, this is some good relief here for the Type A Snipers. They needed that, because they were just slowly but surely slipping away. I think the Baron Pit was a very bad place for the Gamma Bears to fight. They know that they're up against an Orianna, and she really just shines best and brightest in confined spaces.
Right. But right now, because the objective is gone on the side of Gamma Bears, the next thing that they would want to try to go for is going to be an inhibitor turret. But TPS snipers can just turtle it out, farm up, ramp up, and then come back in when they have those items completed. The next objective that is going to come out is going to be the Dragon, coming in at about 41 minutes or slightly earlier than that. But
oh, they're going to go for the engage here. Snake gets knocked up into the air, but they realize that, you know, that is not the guy that they want to go for. But actually, they might be able to kill Snake. Snake only has one armor item up there.
Right, I think
doesn't have that much magic resist.
I think Oriel could possibly try to bait out a big spell coming in from Gamma Bears because, you know, it was in position. Mystic had that Dark Passage Radiant available for him. But I think Gamma Bears just read right through that.
So now with both teams just sitting on edge here, both looking for that advantage. All the outer turrets here for the Azubu Type A snipers have been removed, and they're just sitting on those inhibitor turrets. Gamma Bear is still looking for a way to penetrate the base, but they haven't been able to find one.
Right, because right now they don't have that Baron buff advantage. They're trying to make something happen, but in terms of team fight, snipers still have that superiority, and you know, if they make a mistake right there, and it's gonna cost them all their lead that they have been ramping up in the past 40 minutes. So they don't want to make anything to move too reckless with them.
Right, the bottom tower here is the one which has taken the most damage. The Gamma Bears are content with just, you know, farming up. They're not going to exercise this lead that they have. I don't know if whether or not this is going to work out for them, because if they keep holding, the Azubu Type A snipers do have a really solid 5v5 team fight.
Right, I'm not saying that, you know, if the Gamma Bears drag this out, it's going to play in their disadvantage because they do have the Chains of Corruption together with the Crescendo, but I mean, the snipers would be really, really happy to, you know, just stall it out for themselves because there's still some items that need to be completed on their end. There's no Last Whisper coming in from God JJ yet. You know, Oriana hasn't really finished up the Zhonya's Hourglass as well. So that's definitely some of the items that they want to complete before going into the next team fight.
Oh, they get a hold of NL, but look at that barrier there, preventing them from initiating.
Right, that was a nice death sentence though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he should have just jumped in there at that point. Gamma Bears NL, a very, very fearsome sight for the Azubu Type A snipers. You could see God JJ did not want to be anywhere near him. Chains of Corruption is extremely, extremely scary.
Right, are we going to see Stake split push again? There could possibly be an option for them. But at this point of time, if Stake goes to split push, then it's going to cause problem for the rest of his team because Type A snipers are at a point where they do have the capabilities to fight back. So it looks like it's going to be that way for Gamma Bears right there. Stick is on the side lane, on the bottom lane, trying to apply as much pressure as it can. But the snipers are just around the corner.
Right. It's like the match that never ends.
Well, too early to say that, you know. It's 43 minutes in. I think both teams are just taking into consideration that this is a match to determine a spot in the World Finals. And
they're gonna go for Maple. Maple pops the Spirit Rush. They've caught Oriel. Oriel's in trouble here. The Chains of Corruption have landed on him. He goes down. That's gonna be the signal. In comes the Crescendo. Zonda gets locked down. Slicing Maelstrom gets used there. He's got his Zonia to stay alive. Stake, they're forced to pop the Dominance, but he's still alive as well. And it looks like the Type A snipers are on full retreat. NL is still looking healthy, but he gets caught out here by the Shockwave. The rest of the team, though, moves in to keep him safe, and God JJ is forced to back up here. As Maple tries to finish him off, he's going to have to pop his Zonia. He gets taken out, though, and God JJ is still alive here. It's still a 3-for-1, though. And with the Gamma Bears having their AD carry and tank still alive, they're going to be able to pick up that inhibitor and back off. That was exactly what they needed.
Right,
Oriel got a little bit too aggressive.
Right, that was too real for him. That was a beautiful catch coming in onto Oreo. He wanted to go in with the EQ flag combo, but there was some quick response coming in from Maple. Just flashed out of the way, went in with the trap and followed up with the Chains of Corruption, and he just melted down also quickly. And Soda just responded with the Flash Crescendo, catching even more members of TPS, and that's why they came up ahead. And because of that, they just created an entrance for themselves. This bottom inhibitor just went down, and because of that, they will be able to make more plays happen, even contest for the upcoming Baron. It's coming up.
That's the problem when you're diving in on a team that has a Varus, is that when you overextend and you get caught by Chains of Corruption, the rest of your team can't help you. Because when they come to help you, they're going to get caught by the Chains of Corruption.
That's right, precisely. So, right now I would say Gamma Bears have the big lead if they want to try to go for this Baron, but they don't really have to do that because Super Minions is going to knock on the doors of TPS right now.
In comes the Chains of Corruption. Oriel has managed to find NL though. He's going to drop the Cataclysm right on top of them. He will go down though, and Stake is going to just go for the back line. He's going to try to stick onto God JJ. God JJ in big trouble. Triple kill there for Varus. Actually picks up the quadra kill. And I think that with that, this is going to be it. 45 minutes into the game. The timers on the revives are exceedingly long. Gamma Bears have all 5 champions here. They're going to pick up this inhibitor turret, pick up the inhibitor, and very, very possibly the game.
That's right. It looks kind of bleak for Taipei Snipers right now. The only member alive is next ABC. He's able to put on some zone damage, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. It looks like they will be taking out the first Nexus turret. The second one is sure to fall, and it looks like Gamma Bears will be taking game number 2 of this Best of 5 series and one step closer to the World Finals.
My. That was just a brilliant game there from the Gamma Bears. Once again, it's this same strategy that we're seeing from both teams. And I thought that having Jarvan would have made the difference. But really, from watching this match, I felt like the Varus is the thing that's making it very difficult for the rest of the team to engage. Because once the Chains of Corruption come, if you move near your friend who's been hit by it, you're going to get locked down.
Precisely. And, we were talking about it earlier, like, if one strategy works, why change it to another? But for Gamma Bears, they differentiated 2 different kind of strategies.
Right.
In game number 1, they went for this really heavy pick composition with Nocturne, Thresh, and Ahri. So in game number 2, like what we saw earlier, even though they had similar picks, they had that Ahri pick, they had, they changed it up to Renekton and Elise, but instead of going for this pick composition, for this pick strategy, they went for the split push strategy, which, just reaped so much rewards for them. Stake was just creating so much pressure. Snipers weren't able to do anything about it, and because of that, they had all these advantages, and they just steamrolled through it. And I would say the MVP for this match definitely going to be NL on that Varus.
I think that if the Zubu Taipei Snipers want to win that next match, they're going to have to get rid of that Varus pick. It's proving to be much too much of an obstacle, especially if they want to go for the same strategy of the Wombo combo with Orianna. If they want to pick that Orianna again, they better get rid of Varus because he is just single-handedly shutting down their engage potential.